is a law school graduate with a Juris Doctorate degree. She's a certified transformation specialist and a certified therapeutic art coach. She's also an ordained New Thought minister. Michelle was born and raised in Glendale, California, and lived in Hawaii for 27 years before returning to California. She's a proud member of Seroptimus International of Oxnard. She is single and has no children. She notices her maternal instincts come out toward her clients. Michelle's business is Scared and Sacred. Her book, Scared and Sacred, is a coloring journey that unites tools for releasing from the grip of fear with the meditative benefits of coloring. She also has a radio show called Scared and Sacred on Blog Talk Radio. Michelle is a speaker, author, and teacher who is passionate about helping everyone to be brave enough to show up as all and what they truly are in each moment, because it's living this truth that's creating our new leaders. So, welcome to Michelle.
Thank you to Lynn for organizing and allowing me to be speaker today. Thank you, Sharon. I have a handout. And what I'm going to be talking on today is women and leadership. And you might not think of yourself as a leader, but I want to invite you to change that perspective, because women now, whether they're in a position that has a title of leader, are being looked at as leaders. With all of the changes that women speaking their voices, from Me Too to showing up now in more and greater numbers as political leaders, women are being looked at as, wow, they have something in them I hadn't seen before. So just because of the way the perspective of women is being changed and shifted, you're already being seen as having leadership potential. So why not own that yourself? You're also being seen as leaders by Seroptimus. And when you look at our roadmap for success, it's asking us to speak up to get members. It's asking us to speak up to get funds. And when we do our dream programs for either the youth in our Dream It Be It or the people that we give our Live Your Dream Awards to, we're being looked at as role models. We're being looked at as how women being in the world live and do things. And then the last place that we're leaders, and we're being seen as leaders more and more, is in our families, in our circle of friends. And when I did a book signing on Saturday, this was made obvious to me. A woman came up to me and was sharing how her grandchildren are so scared because of what they see in the news and on social media. And their great fear at that moment was what's going on in the Amazon rainforest. Mm-hmm. And she bought my book to be a way, to be a safe space for her grandchildren to come and talk to her through coloring. So this is one of the ways that women are now being a safe place for these tricky kinds of conversations and being a leader in their own either family or friend circle. So what I'm going to share with you is ways to step into leadership as a woman and as yourself, because it's that way that you'll make the greatest and the most unique impact. And as you see from the handout that I'm sharing, my approach spells out the word lead. Mm-hmm. And the first letter of lead is L. And so the first tool, the first way to step out as a leader is to be love, but with a spine. And there are 4 ways that you do that. First is I'd like to share with you a definition of love that I use and that made a huge, big impact on my life. And that is to be willing to be in the same space as. And when I first heard this definition from my mentor, Gay Hendricks, he wrote the book, Learning to Love Yourself, I thought, wow, yeah, that's right. That's what I believe love is. And then I realized, wait, I don't actually know what that means. It was one of those things where it felt true, but it took me a while to realize, okay, this space that we have to be willing to be in the same space as is the space of our attention. And I was one who used to have affirmations all over my mirror saying, you're so beautiful, you're so vibrant, you're so fluid and alive. And I didn't believe a word of any of them. So, no surprise, they didn't make any big impact on me, and I didn't make any big impact as them. But when I thought, okay, am I willing to be in the same space as myself as my age? Well, yeah, I kind of have to be, that's what it is. Am I willing to be in the same space as myself and own this is how my face is changing? This is how my body is changing. Well, yeah, I am. I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to be in the same space as me that way. I could feel a shift going on inside of me that was, yeah, I kind of love myself even as that. And so that's how I adopted the definition for love, is willing to be in the same space as. Now, the way that you add spine to this is through integrity. The integrity of knowing what's important for you, the integrity of knowing what is your truth. And your truth doesn't have to be something big. Oftentimes it is. Maybe there is one. But it could be something as simple as, my truth is that I get a lot of pleasure from crocheting. This is just an example off the top of my head. But gosh, this is what we need in the world right now, when there's so many serious things going on, when there's so many negative things getting so much attention. We need people who have ways of feeling happy in their life and then sharing that with us so we can learn it or free ourselves to feel happy ourselves. This is a way of being a leader. When you own that truth, when you know that truth, then you need to speak your words, make agreements, and have your actions all be in alignment with that. When you do that, it becomes easier to say no to things you really don't want to do in the first place, instead of reschedule, make up excuses. And then it becomes easier to say yes to something, even if you feel good about it, even if it's important to, hello, you. And this is the way that you give love a spine, because what you love is what you're going to want to be putting your attention, your words, your agreements, your actions with. The next way you give love a spine is by facing your feelings. And this is where women have the opportunity to truly shine, because we're willing to be that type of vulnerable that says we have feelings. And it's a natural part of being a human being. Everyone has them, but women are the ones who are willing to say, yes, I'm having a feeling right now. And if we can get to the point, and this is where women as leaders are really going to shine, where we can say, I feel scared right now, but I want you to know I'm going to say this anyway. Or what you said, I feel scared hearing that, and here's why. Would you say more about what you just said? When we can admit that there's a feeling attached to what it is that we're going to say, what it is we're going to do, if feelings can become something that's as pure and simple as and easy as a weather report, then they won't be this huge big deal. It becomes a block to communication and connection. And this is where women are going to be the leaders, are going to open up this kind of connection, this kind of collaboration, this kind of creativity that's going to create a space inside of us for intuition to come in, for instinct to come in. And the last way that we can give love a spine is through gratitude. But before we can go to gratitude, the first thing we need to really be is thankful. There's a difference between the two. And I hear gratitude more and more being used as almost a knee-jerk reaction to a feeling. So someone will say, oh, this really horrible, sad thing happened, and I feel so grateful that I knew this person, or so that I had this experience. And so they've totally blocked their feeling of sadness or grieving, instead of inviting someone in to share it. Or this really happy, wonderful thing happened to me. I'm going to get this awesome amount of attention and money and greatness, and I'm so grateful to my team, to God, to anyone but me who made it happen. That's a way of taking away from the joy of this jubilant experience that this person, no doubt, worked really hard for. So in Thanksgiving, what's more important is to allow yourself to fully and completely receive the wonderful thing that's happening, the wonderful person that's happening, the wonderful gift that you've been given. Allow yourself to fully receive it, to maybe play with it, to own it, to say, yeah, this is mine now. And then to celebrate it, to have a smile, to have a feeling of joy come over you, so that then when you say thank you for it, it becomes a kind of a loop. So you're giving a gift to the person, the experience that gave it to you, and then they have something that they then feel thankful for. So you create this loop of gratitude, this loop of thanksgiving, when you can genuinely receive what you feel grateful for. So that's love with a spine. When you're in this position of having a truth, of owning it, of being strong in it, next you'll find yourself, even without necessarily wanting to, being called to express it, to teach it. And so I'd like to share with you a few tips for expressing your truth, expressing what's important to you. One is, choose your words carefully, because there are certain words that we use automatically that take away our power and that prevent us from making our biggest impact as a leader, as a woman, as a speaker. The first word is just. You're not just you. You're not just asking a question. You don't just have something you want to say. You're a woman of someone who has a truth that she owns and it means something to her. And so you're going to say what you're going to say. You're going to ask the question you're going to ask. You don't just have a feeling. You don't just have an opinion. So notice how often you use the word just. It's going to be really hard to completely eliminate it, but if you start to notice it, you might find ways that, I think I won't say that, and you'll be able to catch yourself before you speak it. The second word is because. We don't have to explain ourselves. We don't have to always tell the story of why we're doing something, because what that really is almost a way of apologizing for what we're going to say, for having an opinion, for being strong, for standing up and feeling like we believe in something and that it's important enough to us that we want to share it and maybe make it important to someone else, that we have to really explain it, and in that way actually minimize it and us. And then the last way that we can take away the impact of what we're going to say or what we've already said is by apologizing. And this is something that I find I have as a thorn in my side right now, because I hear it too much. We don't have to be that sorry. There's nothing we have to be that sorry about. And I'll give you an example. I was in a training the other day, and by its very definition, training means you don't know it. You don't know everything. And there was a trainer, and there were two other young women and me who were being trained. And one of the women did what we were being trained on and was given feedback. It wasn't criticism, it was feedback. She received this feedback, first of all, by saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry I did that." Then she said, "Oh, I should have done this, I should have done this, I should have done this." That's actually a second way of apologizing. Then she said, "Okay, I will never do that again. Thank you so much for telling me that." Which is a third way of apologizing. This was from someone who's maybe in her 20s, and this is the way that she received feedback. We don't have to be that sorry. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. That doesn't mean we're perfect. We do make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes do have an effect on someone else. It's okay to say, "I'm sorry." It's okay to say, "I did this, and it caused this," and take responsibility for it. It's okay to ask, "Now, how can I help you right this situation that snowballed from what I did?" It's okay to say it once, but we don't have to be the one who's punishing ourselves for it. We don't have to be the one who's beating ourselves up over it. So those are ways that you can take away the impact of the words that you're going to be saying, or what your truth is and how you want to communicate it. In terms of when you have to speak in public, one of the things that Sir Optimus asks us to do is increase public awareness, so that may mean speaking in front of a couple of people. Before you actually even open your mouth and say your words, take a breath. Take a breath that goes all the way into your belly, because that's where fear lives. That's where those butterflies are, that's where the knots are. So take a breath, let your belly become totally unwound and a little bit more relaxed. If you need to, go ahead, speak your truth. I need to take a breath right now because I'm feeling scared. And as a public speaker, that can actually be a pretty good opening. A lot of times when I'm speaking to people that are a group I don't belong to or that I don't really know all that well, I'll admit I'm feeling scared now, but what I want to say is so important to you that I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to do my best to share some really, what I believe is life-changing information for you, or something like that. It's a way to get the audience to understand, oh, this is a real person in front of me. The next letter in lead is A, and that stands for attention. Now, attention is actually your superpower, especially today where so many people, so many of us, including me, get sucked in by what's going on our phone or maybe our tablet. And we get into the mindset that here's where my friends are, here's where my community is, here's where my source of connection is. That this ability to be one-on-one with a human being who has a heart and who has eyes and who has ears that are right there for you, when that happens, it has an absolutely palpable impact and effect. So notice how you give your attention. Do you let it land? Where do you let it land? Is the person that you're trying to let it land on actually there with you? And if they're not, do they have a barrier of fear? Are you saying something that's maybe triggering something that's coming up in them? Or notice, is there some sort of a chemical maybe situation going on here, in which case you're never going to make an impact until that person is clear in themselves. So notice, am I wasting my attention, my superpower, my precious gift here? And that is how leaders end up making their community, making their tribe, finding their fans, finding their followers, because the ones that are willing to engage with them, the ones that are willing to listen to them, the ones that are willing to give them their attention are the ones that are going to be their supporters. Now, one of the ways to express yourself in a way that gets people's attention is to be really clear and concise in what you're saying. And one of the things that I invite clubs that I speak to do is to have a meeting where you come up with your elevator pitch. You know, what is Seroptimist? What does my club do? Why am I a Seroptimist? 3 simple things that make Seroptimist come alive when someone, and you forgot you had your name tag on, and they look and they see the bling. And they say, wow, where did you get that beautiful pen? What kind of a group is this that has a look like this going on? So when you have your elevator pitch, you give them the 3 things, and next thing you know, they're joining you at a meeting, and next thing you know, they're joining your club. So use the superpower of your attention and use the way of expressing your truth in your words. Is going to make a big impact. The last letter in the word D, and the last tip for becoming a woman as a leader, is the word discovery. When you start speaking your truth, when you start expressing your truth, when you start showing up as your truth, you're going to find that there are some people that you may rub the wrong way. You're going to find that there are some people who may disagree with you. You may even unknowingly create some sort of a controversy and find yourself being challenged. Rather than shifting into a place of defensiveness, allow yourself to shift into discovery. Allow yourself to become curious. Because what may actually be happening is you standing as yourself and your truth may make someone feel scared within their own selves, have something from who knows where in their childhood come up, and so they'll feel like attacking you is better than kind of figuring out what's going on within them. The other thing is you may be speaking something that's so new and so different, so foreign, that people are totally confused by it. But if you go defensive, then you won't be able to have the conversation that brings that out. So when I say discovery and curiosity, here's an instant way to shift into that. And it's with the word, and go like this. When you do that, you immediately feel yourself becoming curious. Now, of course, in a conversation, in a meeting, you're not going to do that, but if you even just silent, but Renee would, but most of us would not. But if you just kind of, even within yourself, go, that'll change your energy to where you can go, well, I don't understand why you're saying that. Could you tell me more about that? Or it'll allow you to, within yourself, become curious rather than defensive, thinking you've done or said something wrong, and see, oh, this person is kind of blurry-eyed. Something's going on with them, and they're not even really them or here right now. And then you'll be able to handle the situation in a way that's going to be able to deflate it and take the fire out of it. You can tell the person, well, thank you for sharing that, I appreciate it, and kind of end it right there. With someone else, you can say, well, can you tell me more about that, or why do you think that? And invite this connection that involves feeling safe to express what's going on within them. If this is happening within your team, it's going to make it an awful lot easier for someone who's watching this to feel like, oh, I can share my opinion now, and they may have the new way of thinking that's going to change everything for the better. So think of D, when you feel like you're being challenged. And again, this can be in a professional or even a family way, because sometimes it's the conversations with our family that get us the most triggered. So those are my tools for stepping out in leadership as a Seroptimist, and stepping out in leadership as a woman. As a way of thanking you for giving me this opportunity to share with you today, to be here today, I have a book, Scared and Sacred, And it is tools and inspiration in a text for getting out of the grip of fear. It's coloring, and then it's also some journaling pages so you can go within and connect with yourself. I'm selling it for $20 and then $5 for each book I give back to the club. And if anyone is interested in what I do in terms of either getting out of the grip of fear or stepping further into leadership, I'm offering the gift of a 1-hour session with me to see if I can be of benefit to you and support you.
Michelle, could you talk a little bit more about that book and like show us?
Sure.
I'm a little unclear on that, so.
So here's my book, and this book is a collaboration with my nephew Brent, who thinks he has absolutely no artistic talent. I just flipped to this one. And this is a book that has, what I see, one of the ways I see this book being used and would love to see this book being used is as a, for example, a two-hour workshop is right here. Here's a coloring exercise. And then here's a text that could then, if you have your own tools and exercises, but this right here, these words bring up another exercise. So for example, on this page, to be willing to be in the same space as and to live in alignment with what is true for us allows us to see a difference between responsibility and reacting. So that right there, you add an opening, an icebreaker, you add a closing at the end, you add a bathroom break, and you've got a 2-hour workshop. And you've done it in a way that's going to make an impact on someone who is maybe facing some fear, is maybe wondering how can I show up bigger and better? How can I keep from being triggered? All of this just in these 2 pages.
Okay. Yes. For our guests in the room, Seroptimus has 2 programs, and one of them is Dream It, Be It, and it's where we help, it's a workshop that we have for teenage girls aged 14 to 18, and it's like a half-day workshop, and we do mentoring and just let them, you know, it's a safe place, and it's just a great,
it is.
event. So.
Yeah, and we give them some career study resources, and
Right.
yeah, it's just so supportive. And we kind of pick girls that maybe are slipping through cracks and don't get as much attention. So it's a great program. Oh, this is awesome. So yeah, that's my book. Wow, Sharon, thank you. So that's about my book, yeah. And
Very cool.
are there any other questions I can answer about anything, including about me personally or what I do or my talk?
What recommendation would you give to, I'm thinking of my past life, let's think of a young female in a man's environment, and how does she's like continually like put down or dismissed, how does she be strong without being, quote, bitchy?
Well, I think speaking the truth. You know, when we let these things fester and we get angry, that's where the bitchy might come out. And second of all, be brave enough to be bitchy, because when people start calling you bitchy, what they may really mean is, wow, she's being strong and scaring me.
Yes. Or nasty.
Yeah, and when you're just speaking the truth, you know, I would rather you use different words when you spoke to me, because what I'm hearing is you would really rather I did this report in a different way, but the way you're saying it is attacking me as a person, as a female, as a something or another.
That's good.
So I think that just, again, though, speaking our truth can be the scariest thing that we do.
Yeah.
But I think that that's also what, you know, is going to be the least bitchy or you know, inciting some sort of an argument, sort of a way of responding to what feels like an attack. Or and you know, I feel like in a way I almost feel sorry for men right now, because I think they don't know what to do with us anymore. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, they're actually being seen for who and what they are, and I don't know how to handle it. So they're probably quite awkward, and maybe what they really just need is to be educated. And maybe not, but I mean, you know, that may be one perspective of dealing with them, even when they're in a position of power.
Thank you.
But I think it's a lot about iMessages, and I think that one of the reasons that we kind of stuff feelings and stuff, and then when we finally decide to do something, it's all about trying to blame the other person and make them wrong. So, you know, what Michelle was saying, I totally agree with, you know, I feel, I think, I need, you own it. You don't blame the other person. And even when you're saying, you know, I would feel better if this happened rather than this happened, it's creating an environment where the other person can actually hear you because they don't feel attacked.
And when you do feel attacked and you do feel like this person is gonna, you know, is saying these things in this way and then they're gonna label you bitchy again, go into, you know, let yourself have just that pause for a moment where you can come back from curiosity. I wonder why you chose to use the words, you know, whatever it was. And then notice within yourself, is there some sort of trigger within you that maybe is happening too?
Mhm.
Anyways, happy to be here. So proud of you, Michelle. That
Thank
was-
you, Ari, thank you for coming.
Fabulous.